The PlayStation Store's mid-year sale is still going on, and in this video we're going to be covering it once again, and we're taking a look at 10 great open world games that are under $20. All of these games are coming at you at $19.99 or less, and all of these games offer great value and, of course, a lot of content given what you're paying, some more than others. So without further ado, let's get right into this. First up, we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition for $19.99. Now, truth be told, I would like the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim to be a little bit cheaper at this point. Skyrim originally released all the way back in 2011, however, the Special Edition was just a 2016 release, so it is a little bit understandable, and all of you probably know how great of a game Skyrim is, and with the Special Edition, you get all of the DLC content, refined visuals on the PlayStation 4. Unfortunately, it does not run at 60 frames per second, but it's still a good updated version of the game, and with all of the content that you're getting in the game, the base game is already loaded, and then you have all of the expansions as well. You're going to be spending a lot of time with the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition at $19.99, while again, a little bit on the expensive side considering this was a 2011 release originally. Still, for the amount of hours of gameplay you are getting, it is well worth it. Next up, we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition for $19.99. Now, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition is regularly available for $19.99 on a sale. However, I'm not going to disregard the fact that that is still an incredible deal. Of course, just like Skyrim Special Edition, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition includes all of the downloadable content alongside the base Witcher 3 game, and that means you're going to be spending a lot of time with this game. And what you have with The Witcher 3 is incredible visuals, a great story, a lot of content. The only drawback, and I don't even really know if you could call it a drawback, is the combat. It's just not at the same level as every other element of the game, but I still found it rather engaging. And $19.99 for this masterclass of a game. There's a reason why everyone says that CD Projekt Red is one of their, if not their favorite studios in the world today, and why so many people are excited for Cyberpunk 2077. It's because of the track record CD Projekt Red has set out with games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and the complete edition for $19.99 is a steal. Next up, we've got Fallout 4 for $14.99. Now, Fallout 4 was one of the most anticipated games this generation, and with the enormous hype that Fallout 4 had, it seemed like what came with it was a little bit of disappointment. Whenever you have a game that's as anticipated as Fallout 4 was, it's hard to live up to those expectations, and Fallout 4, I will say, stumbled a little bit, but it's still a great open world RPG. The world of Commonwealth is great, and there's a lot of great content. Now, I should mention that the Game of the Year edition is also available, however, that is $29.99. However, if you do want to get the entire experience in one go, it's not a bad pickup. It's just that a lot of the expansions in Fallout 4 weren't all that great. There were some good ones like Far Harbor. However, if you're not completely sold on Fallout 4, the base game for just $14.99 is a pretty good deal. Next up, I do have a pair of MMOs on this list. The first one is Final Fantasy XIV Online Starter Edition, $9.99. Final Fantasy XIV has an incredible story attached to it. If you followed the release of this game originally, prior to A Realm Reborn, it was an absolute train wreck, and it seemed like a train wreck that was unsalvageable, but lo and behold, Square Enix was able to salvage the experience, and they released Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, and it has become one of the best MMOs today, and it even had a couple of expansions that made the experience even better and deeper. But if you just want to get started with things, Final Fantasy XIV, the Online Starter Edition, is really good, and at just $9.99, it's going to get you everything you need to get started with FF14. Now, it is a pay monthly to play MMO, so bear that in mind, so that might be a little bit of a drawback to some of you guys. Final Fantasy XIV is also one of those MMOs that I found it's rather easy to play this game solo. Of course, an MMO is the best when you play with other people, but if you just want to play it as a traditional solo RPG, you can do that. And it does have a pretty good story attached to it as well. $9.99 is a very good price. Again, there are a couple of expansions out that will deepen the experience. The other MMO on this list, I had to throw in the Elder Scrolls Online, which is also $9.99. Now, the Elder Scrolls Online is a great value because this also includes Morrowind, and unlike Final Fantasy XIV, this has now become a free online MMO. Now, it used to be a pay-to-play MMO, but they have since moved over to a free-to-play model, and that's definitely much appreciated. The Elder Scrolls Online is very easy to get invested into because at the end of the day, it is the Elder Scrolls. You have the entire world of Tamriel, and this was another game that, like FF14, started off at a very dysfunctional state, but then you had the Tamriel Unlimited update, and the game became rather good. There was also an expansion released very recently in Somerset that added a lot more content, but it is $39.99 for that expansion, so if you just want to start off with the base game, $9.99, and that's great, and again, it does include the Morrowind chapter as well. Next up, we have Borderlands, the Handsome Collection for $19.79. this is another game that I would like to see a little bit cheaper. The Handsome Collection has been $19.79 for a while now, and that's $19.79 on sale. I believe the standard price on the PlayStation Store is still $60, which is kind of insane. I believe the Handsome Collection released all the way back in 2014, so now's about the time I'd like to see it a little bit cheaper, but the reason I can still recommend it is because Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel are both really good games, and they're games that offer a lot of content, and with the Handsome Collection, you do get both games' respective DLC content, and that makes the experience much better. Now, of course, Borderlands is a game that's always associated to cooperative multiplayer, but I have been one to always tout that I found Borderlands 2 very enjoyable from a solo sense as well, and the games are just a lot of fun. They've got great comedy, and while the story isn't anything incredible, it is engaging because the characters are so likable, and it does have that comedic undertone that is great. If you've never played Borderlands, you really have to give the Handsome Collection a look. Again, you've got Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel in here. Unfortunately, no Borderlands 1. Rumors are that game will be remastered in its own at some point down the line, probably prior to the release of Borderlands 3. Next up, we have Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy for $17.49. A bundle of PlayStation 2 titles. Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy includes Grand Theft Auto 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas all in one package. Of course, these are PlayStation 2 games that have been improved on the PlayStation 4. They do have trophies and all that good stuff, and to get all three of them for $17.49, I would say that's pretty good. Of course, these GTA games don't have the scale and scope of a GTA 5, but they are still very fun games nonetheless. There's a reason why these games are considered some of, if not the best games released on the PS2, and given the library the PS2 had, that says a lot. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas in particular, by many is seen to be the best PS2 game of all time, and to get all three of those games, $17.49, that is a steal. Next up, we have Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands Standard Edition for $19.79. Now, this is a game that definitely has its shortcomings. There is a lot of content to this game, albeit a lot of it does get rather repetitive, and if you're going into this game without a couple of friends, you are not going to have a great experience with it. This game is best played with a group of 4, and that's where you're going to have the most fun with the game, and there are some engaging moments at that point. And again, there is a lot of content to it, and Ubisoft has done a pretty good job of keeping the game updated, keeping the game rather fresh. So if you can convince a squad to also pick up this game, and you have a squad good to go to play this game, you're gonna have a great time with it. But if you're going in solo, this is one that I would absolutely skip. Right now it's at $19.79, so it might be one you can convince a couple of buddies to pick up. Next up, we have arguably one of the most disappointing games of this generation, but still a decent game, and that's Mirror's Edge Catalyst for $4.99. Mirror's Edge Catalyst was anticipated by so many people. Just about everyone loved the original Mirror's Edge released back in 2008. It had some very interesting gameplay, some very unique gameplay, and while it did have some shortcomings here and there, unfortunately, Mirror's Edge Catalyst was just not as good as the original game, and I see why people were disappointed dropping $59.99 on the game, but now it's down to a 12th of that price. It's down to $4.99, and at this price, Mirror's Edge Catalyst is definitely worth it. This is a game that looks great. It still has the very good gameplay. It's just that some of the story aspects fall short, and if you keep your expectations tempered, if you understand that you're only paying $4.99 for this game, you can have a really good time with Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I personally did, and this is the perfect price to check the game out for. And finally, we have Watch Dogs 2 for $19.79. Watch Dogs was another one of those games that had to be one of the most anticipated games of this generation. The first game, that is, that game had anticipation through the roof. Unfortunately, a lot of gamers were left rather underwhelmed by it, but we did get a Watch Dogs 2, and Watch Dogs 2 was a far better game than the first title. I often compare Watch Dogs 2 to Assassin's Creed 2, and that if you remember what Assassin's Creed 2 did to Assassin's Creed, a lot of people were underwhelmed with the first AC title, but AC2 improved upon the game so much. That is exactly what Watch Dogs 2 was, but unfortunately, it did not seem like Watch Dogs 2 had that same level of commercial success that Assassin's Creed 2 did, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to tell you how great of a game Watch Dogs 2 is, and from Watch Dogs 1, it is so much better from the varied gameplay, more interesting characters and story. Just about every element of Watch Dogs 2 is better than the first, so if you played Watch Dogs 1, if you were captivated by some of the elements in Watch Dogs 2 just fleshes it out and makes the overall game much better, and you're gonna have a much better time with the game. It is at $19.79, which is a little bit expensive, but I would say it's worth it. Again, another pretty big open world game that you can spend a lot of time with. So that is gonna conclude this video. All of these open world games are under $19.99, and all of them are pretty good. We've got 2 MMOs on there as well, and 8 traditional open world titles, so a lot of good stuff. Definitely something for everyone here, whether you want a completely single player experience, whether you want a game to play with a couple of buddies like Borderlands or Ghost Recon Wildlands, or you want to even jump into that heavily online atmosphere like Elder Scrolls Online or Final Fantasy XIV. Nonetheless, all of these are great deals, so let us know what you're picking up and sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.